Hello, everyone. Another wonderful night of the Four Guys Roundtable show with moi, followed by Darth Pat, AJ Nitro, Coach Jeremy. And tonight's episode will be about everything and absolutely nothing at all. So be prepared to hear everything you want and absolutely hear nothing you're going to want to know either. So, yeah. That's what we're going to be doing tonight. We'll see how this goes.
They may hear some things they don't want to also.
They probably 1,000% are.
So a fair warning, if you have young children and you're listening to this in earshot of a young child, you are going to want to tell them to go away right now.
I mean, we're not going to do anything disturbing because we're on video as well. So we're not going to do any of that. But just stuff
the language will not be appropriate for young listeners.
Probably not.
Spew out of our mouths will be something of interest, possibly.
I'm hoping that nobody spews, but that's a possibility. I did see Darth Pat is drinking a beer again tonight, so he could spew.
Depends on what he's drinking.
Well, with the look on his face, I'm thinking he's just... Did you fart, Pat? Because you look like you farted.
He's got that smirk on his face, like he just sat there and just like one of those quiet, slow ones come out that just warms your butt. And he's kind of like, that's a good one. That's a good one.
I always feel bad for anybody.
That's good.
When that happens.
That's good to know that I apparently have a facial expression that can make you think that, because none of that happened.
What were you about to say, Jeremy?
I said I feel bad for anybody that's around me when those kind of farts happen.
Yes, I feel bad for any of them too.
I think we've all been there at some point.
We probably have all, but that's why I feel sorry for anybody that's in the vicinity of him.
Well, Matt knows very well because there was one time, I'm going to share a really kind of disgusting story. I'd say embarrassing, but it doesn't embarrass me anymore. So when Matt used to live in Pennsylvania, he had a bathroom in a very small area of his room. It was kind of like an add-on room, like
sunroom.
I guess you could call it a sunroom. And had a bathroom in there that had no fan. So
no, it didn't.
So needless to say, I had to use the bathroom, and it wasn't number one. It was a big old number two. And it was so bad it stunk up the entire downstairs of his house. So, yeah, he knows firsthand how bad it can be.
Sure do.
And I don't know. It doesn't matter what I eat. Like, I could eat really healthy stuff. I could eat really shitty stuff. And it just doesn't matter. Like, you get one of those brewing, and it's like, good God, go away. You better run for the hills because somebody's dying.
You and my brother Ned, Jeremy, we could have a contest to see who could empty out a house first.
Yeah, but that's not the kind of contest that I want to have. I don't want to have a who can smell
I know.
the worst. Like, ooh, my shit smells better than yours.
Do you have any comments, Pat?
No.
So I had a customer come in today and return a pair of shoes, and I had a mask on, and I could smell them even with the mask on. So I took it over to another of my coworkers, and I said, "This smells rank, right?" And she's like, "Yep, that smells like 100% pot." So I had to go in the back and spray them off 2 different times today to get them to smell somewhat like shoes again.
Wow. Like, did they dip it in pot?
I don't know. It was like they were sitting in their car, and I think that I want to assume that with pot smokers, it's the same thing as with cigarette smokers. When you do it enough, you don't start to notice that smell. So I feel like maybe it was sitting in their car, and they didn't even notice. But as soon as it walked in our store, I noticed, and I had a mask on. That's how bad it has to be when I'm down this far away from it, and I had a mask on, and I'm like, whoa.
They must be regulars at smoking old marijuana multiple times a day, if it was that bad.
I've walked into many people's houses that I know smoke weed, and There's only one particular house that I walk into that I can smell it. Other people's houses, usually they're burning something that kills the smell of weed, because they're kind of like, we know people know we do, but we don't want them to smell that we do. So, yeah. But hey, that is what it is. It's for. So.
Oh, go ahead. No, go ahead.
No. You go ahead. I
was just going to ask Mr. Patrick if how his day was. It's Saturday. He had off, no work.
Wasn't at work yesterday either, but yeah.
So, does that mean you had a good week, a bad week, a so-so week?
Let's see.
A week of terror? I don't know.
Let me see here.
Is it that hard to remember what you did this week, Pat?
No. It's not that. It's that I know what Joe is doing. I am just getting the exact time. Okay. So let's see. Yesterday at exactly 7:51 p.m.
Wow.
I posted on Facebook. Fuck you, 2020. And
what are you, a fucking airplane?
That was my long drawn out. And
yesterday when you posted that, I was at work, and then you and our other mutual friend Pat as well kind of posted two things on Facebook, and it was like minutes apart. And I'm like, what the fuck's going on? What did I miss? I messaged Pat. I'm like, hey, what's going on? And then as I text him that, reply back to him on Facebook, I'm like, I'm going to go on abcnews.com. Let me see what's going on. And then when I went to it, it was the headline of the judge who passed away yesterday. So
the notorious RBG?
Yes. And I was like, oh, so this is what those two were probably talking about. And then Pat replied back that was what it was.
I also had to go figure out what he was talking about when he posted that. So
yes, Ruth Bader Ginsburg.
Yes.
Ruth Bader Ginsburg.
Sorry, Bader Ginsburg. I don't know. Whatever.
I know you don't know because you don't follow this stuff, but yeah.
Well, I know who Ruth Bader Ginsburg is. I know who that is. But I must say, so there was Mr. Depew, Mr. Darth Pat, commented on a very interesting little rally that I know two people that they were at because they are related to me. And it was called a Freedom Fest rally here in Pennsylvania, down in across in Harrisburg, not down in Harrisburg, because we're technically across from Harrisburg. Maybe a little down it is from where we are, but
a little south.
But speaking of weed, I think people are smoking weed outside. Because I have my window open and I can smell some stank.
Jeremy's gonna get some secondhand smoke this evening. Okay.
But okay, so back to topic.
We were on topic?
Yeah, I guess so. But it was a Freedom Fest, and I have two people that I'm related to that go to these things, that they're held by a certain senator in our state, Doug Mastrioni, and he commented on it because they're all about, no mask, we should have the right to choose, blah, 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 like, feeling like their rights are taken away. And it was funny because my oldest daughter saw that I posted a simple question. I don't know if Darth Pat saw that, but I posted a simple question because they were talking. One of the people was very rude on there and said, yeah, put these sheep back in their, back at the kennel or whatever, whatever. Something about sheep and putting them back in the zoo or back in the barn or whatever. So I simply said, are all people who wear masks sheep? Which somebody replied to no. But then Darth Pat put a comment, which I'm going to read now out loud because this is really funny.
This is gonna be great
to me because I can hear Pat's anger in his post. So it says, Those of you who choose not to wear masks are putting the health of everyone in jeopardy, including your own. I'm not sure why that's such a hard concept to understand. I hate wearing a mask too, but I care about my health and the health of those around me.
I mean, he is Darth Pat, so he has to wear a mask. So,
but I had to laugh because, of course, it was my oldest daughter. She must get notifications when friends or friends of friends post on things. So she like called us out, and my wife was very worried that my sibling and his wife were going to see this because they were at it, and she was actually filming it. She was doing the live feed for this gentleman. So she was a little freaked out. I was like, but I didn't say anything nasty. I just asked if I was a sheep because I wear a mask, Simple question. But yeah, she was reading through the comments, and there was some really nasty people on there, like being very demeaning towards those that have a different opinion in themselves. I was like, this is freaking nuts. Like, you guys need to calm down just a little.
It's been like that for quite some time.
Yeah, it really has been. It's something that, unfortunately, the entire concept of the internet and social media in general has really exacerbated, in the sense that everybody seems to be very content to stay in their own like groups, just to kind of congregate with those who think similarly to them. And the unfortunate aspect of this, and I freely admit I'm guilty of this myself, is that you become not just dismissive of the other side, but downright hostile to the other side, where you really can have a productive conversation. And I don't really, unfortunately, see any way of returning to a time before that, really. And that's for a lot of reasons. I've heard a lot of people say on cable news shows, and I've seen articles kind of backing it up too, that you see that trend also with where people are living. People are increasingly living only amongst people who seem to share similar viewpoints and things of that sort. So, I mean, it's kind of seems to be the way that it is anymore. So
yeah,
I feel like I still live in an area, Jeremy, and I still live in an area where we actually still do have a bit of a cross section.
I agree.
I'd say we're still a predominantly white area, but there are large minority presences in both, African American and Hispanic, especially. That I still feel like our area is very much like a swing area, and that we can go either way, and there is some difference of opinion in the greater area. I've seen, and now I was just driving around this morning, go into the food store and back. I saw plenty of signs for one candidate, saw plenty of signs for the other candidate. So, we're just in a very polarized place, and unfortunately, though, that ends up spreading to things that shouldn't get like that. How do we combat this pandemic? But we're there, and we're all suffering for it, basically.
Yeah. I mean, it's a point where no one wants to talk. It's one side wants to destroy the other side, and they don't care how they go about doing it. They don't care what they say, what they do. And I mean, my one best friend, his wife, just posted on Facebook this evening that, she says she's taking a break from Facebook and social media. She'll see everybody in 2021 because of all the negativity on social media, with everything, just not just the voting, but in the election coming up, but just the pandemic, the racism, all that stuff. So it's, I mean, I get where she's coming from. It's one of those things. I'm not on Facebook as much as I used to be, or I never really been one to post a lot of stuff on there anyway. But it's just I can't. I scroll through a lot of stuff. I just have to bypass it because when I start reading it, it just gets me all worked up for no reason. There's no reason for me to get worked up for listening to ignorance and nonsense on social media when everyone thinks they have big balls and they can say whatever they want and don't give a fuck.
So I'm gonna change the subject. Have the Yankees figured it out finally?
Hard to say. I mean, they've definitely played better over the last, week or so here. They've gotten, healthier, and that a few guys came off the injured list.
How many games have they won in a row? Like 9 or 8?
I've actually kind of lost count. I mean, they're
going to win tonight, right? They're going to win tonight. So
yeah, so that would pull up the standings here. That would make it 10 in a row, actually.
So they were in the 8 spot, and now they're in the 4, right?
Yes, because they're percentage points ahead of the Twins. The Twins have played a couple more games, but the Yankees have one fewer loss, and of course
everybody's
team. You can't erase losses. So
everybody's teams on here are going to make the postseason.
And maybe if they're lucky, they can get into the 2-hole. Yeah.
Jesus.
See, now when you say something like that, when it's just not even remotely correct, you just
both of Joe's teams, both Chicago teams and the Phillies and the Yankees are all going to make the postseason, correct? Just about?
Yeah, the Phillies make it by default because there's 10, 15 teams, whatever many teams make it to playoffs. So the Phillies make it because they're shitty enough to make it in that
league. So yeah.
It's nuts. I mean, I get why they're doing it, but I'm like, the Phillies make it, and they're so shitty.
It makes sense for this year, but they're already talking about extending it to next year, and it's like, no way.
I like this. I like the way they're doing it this year too. I like it. So
yeah, it makes sense for this year when you only have a 60-game regular season. But if you're going to play, and who knows if it's actually going to happen, because who knows what the hell the pandemic's going to look like come February, March, and every other damn thing. But if you're going to play a 162-game schedule, and then still have more than half the league qualify for the playoffs in some way, that really doesn't make any sense, because what's the point of playing a 162-game regular season then if you're still going to have 16 teams make the playoffs? It doesn't make any sense. It really devalues. Even then, I don't really think that helps. I mean, because that really just devalues the regular season in a lot of ways. So you just can't have that many teams making the playoffs, because you're going to have too many teams that are close to 500 who would make it. I mean, right now, the way, we still have about a week of games to play in baseball. But right now, the 8 teams that would make it in the American League, 2 of them are at exactly 500, and the Blue Jays and the Astros. In the National League, the top 8 teams also include 2 teams that are at exactly 500, and the Cardinals and the Reds, and the Phillies are 2 games over. So it's like, if you're going to play a 162-game schedule, that means you're going to have teams that are winning 81, 82, 83 games making the playoffs, and that's just no.
I mean, the NBA has teams every year that are under 500.
The NBA schedule is also half as long.
I know, but it fits the sport. I'm saying, though, it's still
every sport has that, though.
It fits that sport. It does not fit baseball.
All 3 sports, though, go through that, though. I mean, football is 16 games, and then you can have like an 8-8 team make the playoffs, or a shitty 9-7 team, and hockey can have a crappy team make the playoffs because of they have 16 ties, but they have a losing record per se. So I like it. I mean, I think they could do it next year if they play 3 out of 5 and they play all the games back to back to back. I mean, or have a break, whatever, depending on the pandemic. One game break, one day off to travel, and that's it, per se. Have the first 2 games in the team who has home field advantage. You play on the road the first 2 games, and the last 3 games you play at the other stadium.
Yeah,
there's different ways to do it. I just think with that many teams, there's no reason why you can't have at least half the league into the playoffs.
Yeah, it's just interesting because, like with the Phillies, just for example, the Phillies have pretty much fallen apart, which I kind of expected was going to happen, because their bullpen's garbage, like absolutely just trash. But they still are in the 8th spot to make the playoffs. But yet they are. Right now. Oh, are they 6th right now? So everybody else is doing bad.
Actually, I'm sorry. You know what? I keep forgetting this. They're technically 7th. They have the 6th best record, but the way that they're doing this, which is kind of stupid, is that the top 2 teams in each division are 1 through 6 automatically, and then it's 7
wild
and 8
cards,
are like the next best teams, which is
The top two third place teams, pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah, but so right now, I mean, this will make AJ laugh. Cleveland has the 6th best record in the American League, but they would be the 7th seed right now because Houston, who has a worse record, is in 2nd place.
Yeah,
and
that's second place in the West because the West sucks.
That same thing is actually going to happen to the Phillies right now. The Phillies actually have the 6th best record in the National League, but if the playoffs began right now, the Phillies would be the 7th seed because the Cardinals, who have a worse record, are in 2nd place in the other division.
Somebody on my Facebook posted that Thursday night was the first time since 2015 that the Browns and the Indians won on the same night, like the same day when they were playing together.
Shows how horrible that sports
Since
city
when?
is.
2015.
It's a lot of years to go without your team winning on the same day.
There's only overlap at the beginning, the end of baseball and the beginning of the NFL, but still.
Yeah, but even so, that's like 4 years where, or 4 plus or whatever.
That's how bad the Clowns are.
They would have, they would have played on the. They would have played on the same day. They would have played on the same day at least 4 to 5 times. So you would have thought that at least one time in that stretch it would have happened. So,
that one was amusing. That one was amusing when I saw that today. I definitely chuckled at that one.
Yeah, that's the great thing about sports is that you can always find interesting little factoids that emerge, and you go, "Yeah, really?" Yes.
Adam also texted me the other night and said they only had 6,000 fans at the game, and the Cleveland fans still managed to get in a couple of fights, apparently.
Yeah.
Oh, yes, with Cincinnati, with the Bengal fans, yes.
Well,
I heard about that.
I was going to say, when it's like a game against the Bengals, I guess that's not that surprising, but I think I also saw that with the limited amount of fans they had in the opening Thursday night game between Houston and Kansas City, at least one fan has tested positive now, so...
No, it's only one. It's one.
I know, but it just goes to show it's going to be a risky proposition at any football stadium where you're letting fans in. That's all.
Absolutely.
Is it that hard when you got that many seats and you're limiting the number of fans to do social distancing? Unless they're family, they have to sit 4 seats apart on all sides. That's not that freaking difficult to figure out. I mean, granted, they're going to come.
Apparently, it was difficult to a certain extent because, like I said, one person came down with it. So,
and who knows? They could have been family members, and somebody in their family had it. It happens. But regardless,
2 of you guys, I believe, Pat and Joe, don't your teams play this weekend?
Yep,
yes, they do.
They do. We'll see how that game goes.
The Bears and the Giants. Yes, the Eagles play the wonderful Rams. So that is going to be interesting because they lost to the team with no fucking name.
The Broncos are probably going to lose to Pittsburgh this weekend. I've already kind of accepted that that's coming. So,
I mean, granted, a team doesn't need a name to be a football team. But don't you think that takes a little steam out of the fact of who you're playing for? Dude, we don't even fucking play for a team with a name. Man, we are fucking terrible.
Hey, it's how 2020 is this year, This adds to the climax of everything else that's been going on.
Now, I didn't see the game, and I'm kind of glad I didn't see the game because I'd have probably been so pissed off watching that shit happen. How do you go from being up 17-0 to giving up 27 unanswered points? That is just ridiculous.
It was really, I was watching some of that game. I wouldn't say I saw all of it, but it really came down to the fact that the Redskins defensive line I just said their name. Damn it. I mean, I'm going to keep doing this for forever.
It's hard not to.
Tisk.
The Red Faces defensive line.
That sounds worse.
Okay.
Just
with no name.
All right. No.
Defensive line.
The racial slurs defensive line.
Jesus.
Ended up being pretty relentless against an Eagles offensive line that looked like that they were undermanned.
Well,
because I know Lane Johnson was out for the Eagles, and I think somebody else might have gotten hurt during the game. But it looked like the Washington defensive line just kept up a pretty relentless pass rush, and so they stopped the Eagles' offense from being able to do anything. And the Eagles' offense was banged up and without guys like Miles Sanders wasn't playing and Alshon Jeffrey wasn't playing. So you can kind of blame the injuries to a certain extent.
I'm really I really care that Alshon wasn't playing because he's going somewhere fast. Like he's gonna burn people on an out route or some shit like that. Rapid old
he's trying to help you make excuses for why your team lost.
I think he's still better than pretty much any other wide receiver the Eagles have, though. Which is
here's being an Eagles fan this year. You win the Super Bowl back in 2017, and since then you have pretty much, in my opinion, as a fan of a football team, you pretty much shit in the bed since then. And this year is even worse because you got Greg Ward Jr., who nobody knows. And I still don't think he's a good receiver yet. He hasn't done enough to prove himself he proved himself in I think 3-4 games maybe. And you weren't really playing good teams. So that doesn't really count in my book. You bring back old ass Jason Peters and pay him a dump load of money to play 1 year. And he's probably going to be hurt half the year, or at least every game, half the game he'll be hurt. So he's really still only playing half the games. Lane Johnson, yes, he was out, and he's a big factor when it comes to the Eagles' offensive line. He's a big factor covering that right side. But Miles Sanders, he does really well, but he also had a lot of relief from the guy that they got rid of that came from Chicago. And that was stupid on their part. Like, I don't know why they thought all of a sudden, like, Miles Sanders is going to be the number one back, because I thought that was ridiculous. Like, there's just been a lot of things that they did. Getting rid of Malcolm Jenkins, letting him going to New Orleans. Like, just really dumb stuff in my book to try and supposedly make their team better, which I don't think they really did. I think they just made it look like they covered some wounds when, all in all, when the season starts and really gets into the swing of things, not just week one, but it really gets into the swing of things, they're going to be exposed for what they really are, and that is just a mediocre team still. And that's sad, because they had the chance to keep good players and then bring in some young players to be able to be mentored by the old players that were solid players, and they screwed themselves again. And they keep continuing to do that because Howie Roseman, unfortunately, in my opinion, of course, is not as good as everybody thinks he is at making draft picks and being able to sign free agents. That was Joe Douglas, who actually was really good at that and was mentoring Howie Roseman before he went to the Jets. The Eagles are going to be screwed for a while, I think, still.
Well, all I can say to you on that subject, kind of very quickly drawing a comparison, is that my team won the Super Bowl in 2011, 2011 season, and it was in February of 2012. And since that happened, they've been to the playoffs one fucking time. So I don't want to hear you bitch that the Eagles, who won the Super Bowl 3 seasons ago, just haven't been able to keep it together since then. Wah, fucking wah.
Yeah, but your team also has more Super Bowls than my team, too. So I only have 1. You have, 4? so stuff it in your big, fat pie hole.
At least your teams can find quarterbacks.
My team was horribly fun that entire time, though, too. I mean, Jerry Reese was a terrible general manager. He fucked up so many drafts, and it took them so long to finally dump him. But now, of course, the problem is that you can argue that Gettleman hasn't really done any better. So, he should probably be on his last string, too. But his future's kind of tied to Daniel Jones. We'll see how Daniel Jones does.
Sorry, Joe, but all the rest of us, our teams have won the Super Bowl this century.
That's okay, because I've seen all my sports team wins 12 titles in my lifetime, so I'm okay. I just wish my football team could find a real quarterback. And that the last one we really had was back in the 40s. That kind of sucks.
Yeah, I mean, right now you're struggling with Mitch Trubisky and good old Nick Foles.
You're
Nick is what I hear he's called.
You're pining for the Sid Luckman days, Joe?
No, I just, it'd be nice to have a quarterback that was good. And Jay Cutler was good to a certain extent, but he wasn't going to win a Super Bowl.
Who was there before Jay Cutler? I can't remember.
Like 12 different quarterbacks.
Craig Krenzel, right?
Yeah. Well, we had Kyle Orton, and we traded him to Denver and at a draft pick to get Jay Cutler, which technically Jay Cutler was an upgrade from Kyle Orton, but Kyle Orton was very good at managing games, where Jay Cutler was the gunslinger, fucking all over the place shit, and like a poor man's Brett Favre, put it that way. Like, we're known for defenses, defensive players, and running backs. We can't get a fucking quarterback to save our life, or goddamn wide receivers. I like there are current core wide receivers I like, but in our history, those are two positions we've struggled with mightily.
Yeah,
me and Pat.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Jeremy. Go ahead, Jeremy.
Oh, all right. I'll go. And then, of course, when the Bears did make the Super Bowl, of course, they ran into one of my favorite players of all time, and he ran into the Colts and Peyton Manning, so that didn't help them.
Yeah, we could have won that game. I blame. Let's not run. Let's stop running the ball in the second half, and let's like Rex Grossman fucking throw all over the place. I'm watching the game. I'm like, yeah, we're gonna lose.
Me and Pat have been lucky in that our franchises have actually had a couple of at least two really good quarterbacks in our lifetimes. So
yes, the Bears have had 23 different starting quarterbacks, in terms of at least one start since 1999.
There's probably one team, at least I can tell you, that's got more than that, and that would be the team that's really close to me.
Well, I'll look at that in a second here, but you want me to give you the list?
No, I've already looked at the list before.
And we don't have that much time to go through 23.
Like Rick Myers
I would say them real
Cordell
fast.
Stewart's on it. Shane Matthews is on it.
Shane Matthews.
Jim Miller's on there. There's a fucking plethora of shit.
The clowns might have more, Pat.
Chase Daniel, Jimmy Clausen, Mike Glennon, Chad Hutchinson, Brian Hoyer, Todd Collins, Jason Campbell. Yeah.
Okay.
Is Brian Greasy on that list too? I don't remember.
Is who on that list?
Is Brian Greasy on that list too?
Brian Greasy is on that list?
He's on that list too.
Brian Greasy, I remember him.
He's a bomb.
Let's see. The Browns.
I think the Browns have more head coaches than maybe the Bears had quarterbacks.
That's close, but not quite. Yeah. The Browns have started 30 different quarterbacks.
Horrible.
30. The Packers have started 6. Because you've had two of the most durable quarterbacks ever playing in Green Bay for most of those years.
Fuck
30.
Fuck Green Bay. I agree with Joe on that.
The Patriots had started 5. The Giants have only started 7 during that span. I wonder if I could get them all. See, Eli, Kerry Collins, Kurt Warner, Geno Smith, Daniel Jones, Kent Graham, and Jesse Palmer. Yep, got them all.
Woo-hoo. You get the booby prize.
Indeed.
You're a boob.
Yep. Well, hey, Eli had that consecutive game streak going until they decided, well, we want to see if Geno Smith's any good. You already knew he wasn't.
So to give an update, I'm going to give an update on my fantasy football. Theo can give an update on his fantasy football if he'd like to, just so all our fans know how we're doing. So my first matchup, I lost, and it was not very good. But yes, I lost my first matchup. So we're going into the second matchup. I'm 0-1 so far in our league. Theo, what are you? Did you win or lose?
I won.
You won. He is 1-0.
I won. I forget what the score was. Let me check it out. Get this Subway shit off this app. What is this? I have goddamn time. I open this kind of Subway shit.
I am sitting out fantasy football this year, and I got to be honest, I'm kind of perfectly fine with that.
Me too.
Just something I don't need to concern myself with. I got other more important things going on.
I won 104 to 89.
I lost. What did I lose? Come on, let me.
And the funny thing about it is, because we were talking about this being like a very running back, heavy stat league that your relatives created.
My nephew.
I got a shitload of points for Kyler Murray for his 100 plus yards rushing. I think is what kind of helped me the other day. Oh shit, that's right. Kittle's out. I need to replace him. Son of a bitch.
Yeah, I scored 149 points and still lost because I think my opponent had like 170 some. So
that's insane.
Yeah. So right now I'm losing 7-0 because the person I'm playing had a player in the Thursday night game. So we'll see what happens as of tomorrow because I think all my guys play tomorrow.
So
Sunday.
Yeah,
I have one Monday guy.
Yeah, I'm losing 23-0 because they whoever I'm playing is shut it down gate. Whoever that is. Kareem Hunt had 86 yards and 80. This is what drives me crazy. Let me pull up his stats. Because this is the part that's this is going to drive me crazy with this. So he had a rush. He had a receiving touchdown. Still though, he had 86 yards rushing. So he had 2 touchdowns. So that's what, 6 points. Okay, so that's 12. So he had 86 yards rushing and only 15 yards receiving. But yet he scored. He has like fucking wait. Go back. He has 23 points off of that. I'm just like, what the fuck?
Yeah, you shouldn't have big points from a running back unless he gets about 120 some to 150 yards.
Unless he scores a bunch of touchdowns.
Right.
That, or if he goes over 100 yards. Like, I just feel that the amount of points you get per yards is kind of, a little low. I just like, holy shit.
We'll see if tonight's the third straight night the Celtics blow a 12-point lead in the second half.
Isn't Hayward supposed to play tonight?
12-point lead. I thought the last time I checked, I thought I saw that they were up 18.
They're up by 15 now, but I'm just saying they've had a 12-point lead in every game so far, and they lost the first 2.
Is Hayward playing tonight, or is that the next game he's supposed to play?
No, I think he's playing in the next game. I don't think he's playing tonight.
I'm seeing now that they're only up by 9.
It's 88 to 73.
Okay, it just updated. Okay, yeah.
No,
okay.
he's playing, Joe.
Oh, is he playing? Yeah, I've seen that today.
And I just brought the NBA up so we could at least talk about LeBron whining. I didn't win the MVP.
I was just thinking that, and I read the article, and I really went, what?
What a bitch.
I was literally saying to myself, this guy's won 4 MVPs, and so he's pissed off now that he finished in second place for a 4th time. But there was one quote here. Hold on, let's see.
If I was voting, I would have voted for Giannis. If I was voting, I would have voted for Giannis this year.
Not saying that the winner wasn't deserving of the MVP. But that pissed me off. And I finished second a lot in my career, either from a championship and now 4 times as an MVP.
So what does that tell you, son?
Okay. But then he says, I never came into this league to be MVP or to be a champion. I've always just wanted to get better and better every single day. Those things will take care of itself. But some things is just out of my hand and some things you can't control. But it pissed me off. All right, okay. I understand the concept of being pissed off at something you can't control. That happens to me on a daily basis. But the line, I never came into this league to be MVP or to be a champion.
And I'm going to stop you right there.
You might as well have said you came into this league purely to make a lot of money, which is not something people want to hear from their athletes.
So right there, okay, so I got to interject because...
He's frozen.
Who's frozen?
You are.
Oh, I'm frozen? Sweet.
Oh, I
can hear me. That's all that matters. All right. So here's my thing. What the fuck is he talking about? Like, you might as well, like, if you're going to be in the GOAT conversation, you better shut the fuck up now, because if you want to be the GOAT, you cannot be telling people that I didn't come to win and I didn't come to be an MVP, because that is some straight up bullshit. I have never, ever heard from the most mediocre player to the greatest player ever say, I didn't come out to win. Really?
That's all they want to do is win. He was pissed off. He got 14 out of 106 first place votes. Like, listen, Jordan would Jordan was in the conversation almost every single year he played for MVP. Yeah, he's not going to win all of them. There's probably some he thinks he should have won, but he's not going to he's going to use that in a different manner, which we all saw. He used it as motivation to kick everyone's ass, especially when he played them in the finals. So that's where you see his greatness go to a different level. He's not going to fucking go out and get interviewed like, oh, yeah, I only got fucking 82 first place votes when Barkley got 95. That's bullshit. Blah, blah, blah. Dude, shut up. Like, I saw that today. I was like, I can't anymore with him.
Yeah. So
he's not even the best fucking player on his team. Anthony Davis is the best player on that team, and he's been the MVP for the Lakers all fucking season. So there's no goddamn reason that this whole conversation just needs to stop, because it's just
Adam sent me this headline from ESPN last night where they're like, only 6 teams have done the impossible, stop LeBron in the playoffs. Adam's like, I'm sorry, 6 teams have done it? It's not impossissible then.
No, that many? That's a lot of teams that stop you in the playoffs.
6 out of 9 sounds like a lot to me.
So here's the thing. And here's the other thing. So just to kind of kick around the whole MVP thing and what, going to Theo's point with Jordan. So the very last episode of The Last Dance, they're talking about the final. They're going over the finals with Utah, and Karl Malone wins the MVP. And Jordan, they're interviewing Jordan because it's about Jordan and the Bulls. And he says, was I upset? Yes. But he also said Karl Malone was very deserving of it.
Yes.
He won't take that away from him.
Which he was. I'm not going to say he wasn't either.
Yeah. But what he's then said is, I used that as motivation to go into the finals and say, okay, he's the MVP. I'm going to show you. And what did he do? He showed exactly why he was the MVP. Yeah, Karl Malone had a bomb game, game 4, where he put up 40 points or something like that. But he did that one game.
Yeah.
He didn't win the finals. The Bulls still won the finals. Jordan still got his 6th trophy and 6th ring.
I'm pretty sure
is not the ultimate goal. Winning the championship, being a winner, is the ultimate goal.
I'm pretty sure when Curry won his first MVP, LeBron was also pissed that year because he thought he should have won that year too. So this isn't the first time this has occurred with him, and he's publicly made a statement about it.
But he didn't come into the league to win an MVP, to win
championships. Just be a better player, and that would take care of itself.
That is yeah. I'm going to say this once again. That is the dumbest thing I've ever heard from a.
He literally came to play.
I showed up, and it just happened.
I was thinking of the Miz's theme song.
Oh, yeah. So just to backtrack real quick to football. So, Jeremy, Devontae Freeman is going to be visiting the Eagles, or is visiting the Eagles.
Yes. Yeah,
next week. He's expected to visit them next week.
Yeah, that'll be interesting.
Oh, that's right. He's a free agent, right?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, nobody's picked him up yet, which is kind of crazy because he's pretty. I think he's pretty decent overall.
Yeah.
Well, him and Peterson were the last 2 big guys to be picked up.
And the procedure for picking people up is a lot more complicated now this year because of COVID too. They have to if they're interested in joining a team, they have to basically go to the team's facility or a designated safe hotel or something like that, and they basically have to stay there for 3 days and test positive or test negative. For 3 days in a row before the team can even really entertain the thought of signing them to a contract. So it's a lot more complicated to just be picked up off the street this year, unfortunately.
I know there's 4 teams that are interested in him. The Jags, of course, were one of them because he visited the Jags, but I guess he wanted to wait until after week 2 to see who needed really what out of the teams that were.
Well, yeah, he's going to play his. Yeah, he's going to play his hand in. Okay, you need me. Now you're going to pay me.
Even if it's a 1-year deal. I mean, 1-year deal. Prove it deal. He'd probably be fine with that.
I see our college football coach has COVID, Joe.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah, we'll see. He's probably not going to coach next week, so no, we're.
I don't think they were going to win even if he coached. So
Miami's going to destroy them. It's a foregone conclusion.
So
definitely so.
I feel like I feel a story coming on.
Oh.
That I'd like to share. And it's going to be fun.
Is it about WAP?
No.
No
but
WAP?
But this lady might have had one, but I would never know.
Pat's like, oh shit, here we go.
So, so I was thinking about this story before we got on here tonight, and I was like, you know what? Since we're talking about absolutely nothing and everything, I was like, this is the perfect time to drop this story.
What made you think about this story?
It was just making me think back to my single years, like some of the stupid shit that I did when I was single.
You had a dream, didn't you?
No, I did not. It would have been it might have been a nightmare at this point in time in my life, but so many years ago, when a good friend of mine worked for a DJ. Yeah, 3. Yeah.
Long time
3
ago,
years ago. Jeez.
I'd say 6 minutes ago.
But anyways, my one buddy worked for a DJ, and his the guy that owned the company was a little out there, so to say, and he liked to have his company meetings at Irv's, which is now known as Platinum Plus, which is the local strip club around here in the great Allentown. So we went there because he's like, dude, my boss is having a team meeting at the strip club. He's like, you want to go? I was like, of course. Why wouldn't I want to go see naked ladies? Who doesn't?
Jeremy was making it rain.
No, man, I'm a baller. I'm a baller on a freaking budget, bitch. I was making it freaking hail.
Sprinkle.
I was throwing nickels at him. No, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. I wasn't doing that.
I was gonna say, if you were, I'm pretty sure they'd haul your ass out of there. But...
Had to steal that from Tosh Point Oh. That was probably one of the funniest things I've ever seen him do, is the freaking make it hail. But anyways, so we go, and we're sitting there, we're having a good time, and his boss is just drinking like a fish. Ladies coming up, ladies going down, ladies coming up, ladies coming down. Well, this one lady, and she was quite pale, but not like ghostly pale, but just pale. She had
Seamus?
Seamus? Not quite Seamus, a little darker than Seamus. So she wasn't ghostly, but she was fair skinned. Well, just that's the better term, fair skinned.
Okay.
And not a hair that I could see on her body except for the ones on her head, of course. And she's doing her thing, and all of a sudden she decides to drop down on all fours. And I was like, oh boy, this is getting interesting. And she did this trick, which I have never seen ever before, and I haven't seen it since. And she made her butthole pulsate. and then, of course, because my buddy's boss was drunk, he's making paper airplanes out of dollar bills and throwing them at her butthole, trying to stick one in her butt. I was like, something's wrong with this guy, but I was freaking laughing my ass off because it was really funny. I mean, the girl was really good looking. She was a really pretty lady, but it was just really funny. And then she turned over and did the spread eagle on the thing, and he's trying to throw him in her, her vagina and shit. I'm like, oh my God, like this guy's out of freaking control. But I wish I could remember her name. What was her stage name? It was like Destiny or Crystal or something like that. What's that?
A typical name.
Yeah, typical, stage name for, I don't know. Is the proper term stripper or is it exotic dancer? I think it's exotic dancer.
Exotic dancer is the proper.
Yeah, the exotic dancer. So, but I think I never saw this person there, but we used to work with a lady. She was a manager at our work. She recently passed away from cancer, unfortunately. But she was like the bar keep. She always was dressed scantily clad at the serving the beer and stuff like that.
So was it somebody you wanted to see scantily clad? That person?
No, I didn't. I find her attractive. No. But
I mean, we can seriously talk for the next 3 hours about stories at strip clubs.
Oh boy, we want Pat to stay awake.
Well,
I have a couple I could share.
Just, I'll freely admit I've been to a strip club a whole whopping one time in my life.
With me.
Yeah, that is true.
We'll hold his hand.
It was awkward.
Referencing the strip club that Jeremy went to, I have never been to that one myself. I know exactly where it is, of course. But
he's patrolled around outside. He just didn't have the nerve to go in.
No, it's not that. It's just that
I'm just messing.
It's in what you would not expect maybe as being like the most typical location for a strip club, because it is in like a kind of larger, like kind of almost like strip mall. I think it's just a couple
food
doors
store
down.
There.
Right, a couple doors down is a Redner's Warehouse Markets, which for those of you not in the know, you wouldn't be unless you live in the area Jeremy and I live in. It's a supermarket. And there's, a couple fast food places not all that far away from it either. So it's really kind of like there's a strip club right there kind of place. But anyway, so, Joe and I once worked for a wireless phone carrier doing technical support at a call center that was located very close to where this strip club is.
I know where Irv's is also. I know where it is. So
now our call center got shut down way back in 2012, so it's been over 8 years now, which seems kind of almost impossible to fathom.
Yeah.
But sometime after our call center was shut down, I don't remember exactly how many years afterward it was, but that place was, I guess, raided is really the appropriate term, and several of the dancers were, I believe, charged with various levels of prostitution.
Yes, they were.
I give you a little something extra for $20.
Yeah, so it's like, okay. Now, I, didn't really think much of it, but now a friend of mine who also worked at that call center, he, sent me, a link on Facebook one day, and he was like, check this out. And I said, okay, and that's how I learned about it. And as I'm reading through the article, they had, the list of names of those who were busted. And a couple of them, I immediately went, oh, I know that name. It was somebody who had formerly worked at the call center. Now, let me say that because the call center is kind of big and you hardly know everybody who works there, I did not personally had never worked with directly any of the people who were busted. I think it was 2 or 3 out of a group of 8 or 9 or so. But I was just, there was a couple names that because they showed up in emails a lot because the jobs they had were notifying the call center of various things going on or whatever. I just remember going, and I think the exact response I had to my friend on Facebook was, oh, I recognize a couple of those names. I don't know. I can't remember how the case turned out, if they just pled them all down, which I'm sure they probably did to avoid, jail and shit like that. But just thought that was kind of interesting that that's something that had happened, after the call center had been shut down, that some people were I don't want to say some people were forced to work in that kind of a job, but chose to. I mean, just it just seemed a little interesting. That was all. I mean,
I will tell you one thing. Out of those 3 people, Pat, one of them was working there while working at T-Mobile. Oh, sorry. I already said it. Sorry. I just threw it out there. Me and Pat worked at T-Mobile. Screw it. It doesn't make sense at this point. It's all right.
I think everybody knows that T-Mobile sucks, and if you don't know that T-Mobile sucks, wake up. T-Mobile sucks.
Listen, I still have that because of that discount they gave us, so I can get rid of that shit.
So
I got rid of them as soon as I could. But
there was
that's interesting that she was working there while she was working at T-Mobile. It's like, how the hell did she find the time?
There was a little bit of excitement out you guys' way today. I see that there was a gunfire at Lehigh Valley Mall.
I saw something about that I haven't had a chance to look into.
Adam texted it to me.
The sad thing about that then is that that's not the first time. There was a shooting there a couple years ago too. So that one I think was like late at night as the mall was closing. This one looks like it was in the middle of the day, for Christ's sake.
The J.C. Penney's apparently I think it was at Penney's.
It was out. It was downstairs, in front of Modell's.
Yeah. Right, which is right by Penney's.
Yeah. So 4 gunshots. They found casings out for the Modell's. People screamed. They interviewed a whole bunch of people. The morning call, WFMZ. People were like, "Yeah, my husband did a baseball slide behind this, and I was doing an army crawl, and." People are running hysterics, and people are went in J.C. Penney's and they locked down the stores and this, that, and the next thing. So, I just watched it before a news conference before we started this, and they really didn't release much about it. Mm-hmm. They're looking through all the videotapes of the whole mall and stuff like that, and I don't really think they know exactly who did it. But it seemed like they were going through store by store, evacuating the people, and then searching the store and stuff like that. Because they had cops from 4 or 5 different townships. The state police was there. They brought one of the armored SWAT vehicles. There was a guy from the morning call filming, doing videos, and this guy got out of a police SUV, and he had not even black SWAT gear. He had military SWAT gear on. He was putting the vest on. He got his rifle he was doing all of this stuff. I was like, oh shit. But yeah, that was definitely kind of crazy.
I feel like we're gonna find out either it's somebody in a gang, or some crazy ass white person decided to go in the mall and shoot up the mall. That seems to be and it'll probably be the second of the two, the crazy white person for some reason. Yeah. Because for some we have no sensibility in where we should go shoot if you're going to shoot somebody. Go to an open place and just shoot everybody. Not just take out one person, take them all out because there's something wrong with people.
The rumor that I don't see a rumor. I guess it's a rumor. The one rumor report is that there was somebody checking, doing checking masks or whatever before they were letting people in Modell's. And someone supposedly walked up to the person that was working at Modell's and made a comment about something. And then that's when people heard the 4 shots. But no one was hurt. No one was hurt. Thank so it was God. Kind of like where were they shooting? What were they shooting at? What were they trying to do? Prove? It's very...
Shot up into the ceiling above them, into the stairway above them.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, I won't be surprised if it's a crazy white person. I mean, look at the white people. We've had how many serial killer white people? We're just fucking. Our race.
We're loose. We got some screws loose in our brains.
Well,
crazy Caucasians.
How many mass shooters have not been white?
I know.
I can't think of more than maybe one. If any.
I think almost all mass shooters have been white. So
yeah. We're like I said, we got some screws loose. But back to some stripper stories. I'm sorry, exotic dancer stories.
I didn't realize
one wasn't enough apparently.
No. So, I have another one, kind of on the level of Joe and Darth Pat's. So
they're fun stories.
Yeah. I mean, so being a working in a call center myself. Yeah. So working in a call center myself, there was this lady. She was a little bit older than myself, and she was always very friendly in that. And, I was the trainer at the point for her new hire class. And, so we're doing it on conversation. I'm always very pleasant with people. And I always check in with them afterwards and, see how they're doing in that. And then she was getting ready. She had flagged me down and she's like, "Oh, Jeremy," she's like, "this is going to be my last day." I'm like, "Oh, I'm so sorry to hear that. I'm sorry that you're not going to be able to stay." She's like, "Oh, it's okay. I have another job." She's like, "You know what else I do?" I said, "Nope, no clue. What else do you?" I said, "I thought you just worked here." I was like, "Do you work in the mall or someplace?" She's like, "Nope." She's like, "I dance." I was like, "Oh." I'm like, okay.
She must have wanted Jeremy to come watch.
I was going to say, that kind of sounds like she was sitting on you.
She a little wink, wink.
Yeah, she definitely was giving me the hint to, "You should come see me dance." And I was like, "Oh, okay." And not, if I wasn't married and I was still single, yeah, I probably would have went and saw her dance. Just because, like I said, she wasn't for any age, she was an attractive woman. But since I've been married, I don't know. Like, I don't want to say I've lost the desire, but I don't have the need. Like, it doesn't do anything when being married. Like, I'm going to go look at those ladies and I'm going to come home to my wife, who I think is a beautiful woman. And what? It's not like I'm going home with those people, then I'm going to come home to my wife, because that's just all kinds of wrong. So it's like, at least when I was single, I could like go home and fantasize about that on my own time, take matters in my own hands and be like, "Yeah,
spank bank,
Now
raid the spank bank."
Yeah, exactly. God. Put them in the spank bank. As we always say, just make sure you clean up after yourself, kids, because that's just nasty to lay in it.
I'll make sure to jot that one down.
Write that down.
If you're going to do it in the shower. All right? Easy cleanup.
Yes, exactly. So I must say.
Wow.
No, I'll leave that. That's even grosser. But
here we go.
You just shower right after you're like, doop, boop, shower off, still clean. No sweating, no lube.
Oh, okay, that's
the shower.
That's enough, Jeremy.
Am I disgusting you?
That's just a visual I don't need. I mean, if Pat wants to hear more about it, that's between you and him. So.
No. What I'm kind of curious about, based upon what you just said, is why are you visualizing that? I mean, I wasn't visualizing anything that he was saying, so why were you?
Jeremy's description. I'm just like, oh.
He's he hears words and he's like, now they're in my head. Now I've got a visual picture. Thank you, but no thank you.
No, that's why I'm like listening, but yeah, not. I mean,
that's what you do on that's what you do on everyone, Pat. So how's that different from this one?
That's not true, and we're talking about a subject. I try to stay engaged.
Try.
Oh my God.
Was the key word in that sentence try?
I just said that.
Oh, Lord. So, do we have any wrestling news, AJ?
Sure.
What's going on in the wrestling world?
I was actually going to ask if you guys, well, Joe may have seen it. Pat probably did too. I saw Mr. Meltzer gave out his first 5-star match this year, and it was the parking lot brawl from AEW the other night.
I did not see that.
That match was fantastic.
Who did that involve? Because...
The Best Friends and Santana and Ortiz. That match was fabulous.
Okay, interesting. Yeah.
It was It was a really good match, considering the circumstances around all this. Like, AEW had been shitty for like a month. Their Wednesday night show was a train wreck, several weeks in a row, and then they put it on those 4 guys, and they delivered the best main event probably in the last 6 weeks at least.
Yeah, I would say that.
So,
and I know Pat doesn't like Orange Cassidy. He was in the trunk of one of the vehicles, and that was fabulous.
Why was he in the trunk?
Because he's friends with the Best Friends. He's the best. Okay, he's one of the best friends.
So it was like a setup spot?
Yes.
Yeah.
he came out of the trunk and gave them the orange punch. Instead of the Superman punch, they are now calling it the orange punch, which is fabulous. And
Lion punch.
The best.
A piece of me just died listening to you say that.
And
I can understand them not wanting to call it the Superman punch, but then they call it the orange punch. Yeah, like Jeremy said, why don't they just call it the fucking Hawaiian punch?
Orange punch works. Orange punch works, I think. So, so the premise, Pat, surrounding this whole match was several weeks ago, Santana and Ortiz fucked up the best Trent's mother's minivan. They fucked it up. They spray painted all over it and took the tires off of it and all this shit. So that's kind of what set this whole thing up. So after the match was over, which the spot they did to win the match was fabulous, they put a board over and he did a really cool finisher on this board. They beat the shit out of each other. I did get to hear JR call a board that was nothing remotely close to a 2x4 a 2x4. Once again, proving that JR should never be announcing ever again. So the thing that
he's not going to like to hear you say that.
Well, fuck him and his Oklahoma bullshit. So, so then after the match was over, the best friends get in the minivan with the mother, and she sticks the middle finger up out the window of the minivan. It was priceless.
It was good stuff. It really was.
Yeah, and it's a pretty high award, and not to say like Dave Meltzer's the end all be all.
No, but he is kind of considered that guy though. So
yeah, because he's been around the wrestling business for so long. He was in the wrestling business in some shape.
No, he wasn't.
You sure? I'm pretty sure I've heard him say he was.
Never in the wrestling business.
I don't mean a wrestler.
He never in the wrestling business means that you worked for a wrestling organization. He never worked for a wrestling organization. He's always been a reporter. That's all I'm saying.
Okay. Then I misunderstood something that maybe he said at one point in time. So.
He doesn't throw out 5 stars very often, especially to a match that's not a regular match.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, especially if you make a match in that manner.
And that match was really, really good, and I knew it could be decent, but I wasn't expecting that. So that was probably
a fun match.
The highlight of the week was that match, probably. So both shows. I did think it was funny when Joe posted the Mandalorian 2 trailer, and Sean was like, "It's boss time."
Yeah, I got to see Sasha Banks in the trailer.
Well, yeah, it's like she actually appeared in the trailer, which was interesting. So.
And once again, I must have to go back and watch that because I know you told me where it is, but I still don't catch it.
She's standing next to a thing of crates or I don't know what the fuck it was.
Yeah, it wasn't really that hard to miss.
Well, I just didn't see her face, so I'm gonna have to go through it.
Open your eyes, bro.
Well,
I know it's hard to see her not with blue hair.
Well, okay, well, yeah, 2 things. She's wearing a hood, and I'm sure
has normal hair, or you can't see her hair.
You can't really see her hair, but I'm sure her hair wasn't blue anyway. Now, of course, the rumor is that she could be playing Sabine, which would be interesting.
Yeah.
Just a sec. I'm gonna pull up the trailer and I'll watch it right now.
Joe, why don't you give him some music to accompany that?
I will almost guarantee you, dear listeners, that he is going to rewatch this trailer right now, and when he is done watching it, he is still going to say to us, "Wait, where was she?"
That's a good possibility. No, this is okay. So
apparently they have decided that Otis shouldn't have had the money in the bank because now we have a lawsuit to possibly take the money in the bank away from him. So
that was I kind of felt like that too. Nothing against Otis. I don't watch enough to really have a strong opinion of him one way or another. It seems like he's a decent enough worker, but at the same time, he like most every Money in the Bank cash in has been a successful cash in. I just don't ever see Otis being a guy to carry the title.
So at this point,
even as like a fluke kind of thing. So, they probably should have never given it to him in the first place. And again, no disrespect to Otis. It just seemed like a case of this is the way you're going, and especially the way that they put the title onto Roman, and they're doing everything like that. It just seems very, very odd.
At this point, though, I think as much as I don't like him, I kind of feel bad for him because just let him cash it in and lose rather than taking it away from him some other way. I think at this point, just let him cash in and turn it into a comedy and let Roman destroy him. So,
yeah, that would be better than
That's a better idea.
Never even getting the opportunity to cash it in. Yeah, even if you lose, because the one big cash in that I can remember with being unsuccessful was Sandow's, and you could argue that it was all downhill from him from there. Yeah. But the match he had where he cashed in, or where he tried to cash in against Cena, I remember that being a pretty good competitive match it did actually look like, at least a couple times, that was like, oh my God, they're actually going to have him win. So
it was a good match. Sandow was underappreciated. He was a pretty good worker, and he was...
He definitely was. And like the best kind of match, really, in my opinion, in a lot of cases, is the kind of match where you know who's going to win, but then you actually start doubting it as the match is going on. And that match I always felt was one of those. So.
And I'm not super excited about Clash of the Champions next weekend, but putting Jeff Hardy, AJ Styles, and Sami Zayn in a ladder match makes that pay-per-view a little bit more intriguing.
Yeah, that sounds like a good idea.
So they've made that. Having Keith Lee fight Drew McIntyre and Randy Orton every week on Raw I don't understand that. So they've had.
Well, I saw something on one of the sites that I still go to that said something. I didn't read the article, but it was speculating: is Keith Lee's push already over? And I'm like, after 3 weeks.
I mean,
if it is, and that's a pretty black mark on creative.
I think I just sent the picture to Joe. I don't think I sent it to everybody. Somebody posted a picture of Keith Lee in his singlet, and it's like, what the fuck is this? He looks like a fat ass D'Lo Brown.
Hey.
Let me find it. I'm going to send it. I'm going to put it in the group chat so you guys can see it, because I laughed so hard when I saw this picture, and I'm like, this is so true, because I call him fat ass all the time, so it's very appropriate. So
yeah, but D'Lo Brown was the real deal now, and he'll kick your sorry ass out on the street.
All right. I'll send it.
So
we have, why does WWE have Keith Lee looking like a fat ass D'Lo Brown?
So I did rewatch the trailer real quick, and I did see Sasha Banks this time. Well, and here's the thing for me, because I don't pay attention to the super details when I watch everything. Sometimes I miss things. It's very easy to miss because it is only like 4 seconds of her face, but easy to spot if you're paying attention to it.
I saw her right away.
So did I.
You guys pay attention to the details better than
we
I do,
all.
so.
I don't know if Jeremy necessarily knew. Like me and Joe, and I'm assuming you, Pat, we knew she was going to be in this season. Didn't necessarily know she was going to be in the trailer, but we knew she was going to be in this season.
Right.
Yeah, I'll be perfectly honest that I was surprised that she was in the trailer. But then it's like with the rumors about like what characters are going to be appearing in this season, feels like they wanted to keep those a bit more under wraps. Like if Rosario Dawson is actually playing Ahsoka, and if Boba Fett is actually going to be in it, and stuff like that. So I'm actually kind of not surprised that they didn't show stuff like that. I mean, they did have like the brief appearances of, Gina Carano's character and Carl Weathers' character who were in the first season. So I guess I am actually a little surprised that what that trailer didn't show was that it didn't have any shots of, Giancarlo Esposito as Moff Gideon, especially since he's got the Darksaber. I mean, they didn't have any shots to that. That surprised me a little bit. But
they're leaving that as a surprise.
Yeah. I mean, and that's the whole reason why people are speculating that Sasha could be playing Sabine is because, she once had the Darksaber, in Rebels, which of course takes place before the Mandalorian did. So.
Yeah. So
he probably wanted to drop at least one little surprise in the trailer to us about, a rumored character. But
and I expect there'll probably be another trailer before the show hits, because it's not until the end of next month still. So they got another time to release like another trailer.
Yeah, that singlet does Keith Lee no justice.
They can't find like since they've moved him up to the main roster, they've actually changed his costume 3 times now. So
that's wow, that's terrible.
So 3 times in like a month.
That's not his fault. That's their fault. So that's pretty shitty.
And here's the thing, here's the thing with Keith Lee. Like, I saw him a couple times in NXT, and I wouldn't say he was anything special. So to bring him up to the main roster and put him on he's on Raw. It doesn't make a lot of sense, because you had no way of telling if he was over, because COVID hit and like there's no crowd. So how do you know if this guy's over enough to be able to put him on the main roster and have some kind of feud or storyline for him? When he's got nothing to work with. He
is over. Like the events I've been to, he's over. I don't like him at all. I don't think I agree with you, Jeremy. I think if Kevin Owens and Samoa Joe had not come along, that makes Keith Lee a little bit different and something unique and something we haven't seen before. The problem is he's terrible on the mic, so that ruins it for him with me. Bad. I think he's terrible, and he doesn't have a lot of charisma in my opinion. So he's not. He may be he's a decent in-ring guy for a fat guy. He can do some stuff, but if somebody sat me down and said you have to pick between Kevin Owens, Keith Lee, and Samoa Joe, I'm taking those 2 before Keith Lee even 5 years from now, because Kevin Owens is one of the best guys in the company on the mic right now. Keith Lee's never going to get to that. He's never going to get to that point. So, and I don't think he's going to get a lot better in the ring. I think he's kind of where they're going to make him, okay, you can only do this many moves. They're going to probably give him stuff that he's only allowed to do. He's probably going to be at that point where they're going to try to keep him safe, because he does like to do some crazy stuff. He likes to flip out of the ring and do some stuff but that's what I want to see him do. Like, that's why I liked Kevin Owens and Samoa Joe, because they did some cool stuff for chubby guys that they weren't supposed to do. If you take that away from them, then you're like putting them into pigeonholing them into, Brock Lesnar. I don't really want to take use Brock, but you're pigeonholing them into somebody that they're maybe not exactly, and that's what's going to happen with Keith Lee, is they're going to pigeonhole him into, you're the big guy, so you're only allowed to do this many moves, and WWE's taking moves away from Kevin Owens. Like, he doesn't do all the stuff he did when he came in 5 years ago. Like, he did a lot more stuff then. They've dumbed his move set down, and I don't get to see him do a lot of the stuff I want to see him do. So that's what happens sometimes.
Right. Well, here's the one thing, and I'll I listened to The Undertaker do an interview one time, and he was talking about his character and the kind of characters that he was before The Undertaker. He was a very athletic guy. Until he got older and kind of beat up, he was an athletic guy. So he would do more athletic things, but it didn't fit the character of The Undertaker. Didn't make sense for him to be running super fast or, doing high flying moves. That's why he would only throw things like that in every once in a while, like the jump over the top rope, or, he had his, the old school move, So he didn't do a lot of that because he realized, okay, my character cannot do this because it doesn't make sense as The Undertaker to be doing high-flying moves or super athletic moves. He had to be slow. He had to be methodical, because it made more sense to The Undertaker. Now, the problem is you got Keith Lee, and I don't know what his character's supposed to be. But he is a heavier
I don't think
guy.
I don't think anybody quite knows exactly what his character is supposed to be right now, so...
But they have to define his character and then say, okay, based on the character that you are within the ring, this is what you should have certain moves that you do. And then because you are still athletic, bust this move out once every couple matches, just to show that you can do an athletic move. So people don't forget, hey, I'm not just a big guy. I can do other stuff and let that, but that's not how WWE works anymore. They haven't worked like that for years because they don't let people just be themselves, amped up to 10. Everybody's got to be – it's almost like we've kind of reverted back to the early 90s and 80s where everybody was a gimmick character and had, I guess comic book character you could call it, or a cartoon character. And it's hurting them. It's severely hurting the WWE by not letting these guys be who they are and develop their own character, and not having any trust in them to be able to do that. Because Keith Lee is probably better on the mic than we know, but he just, this is what we want you to say. Go out and say this. Like,
I don't think
dumb.
his promos since he's been called up have been that bad. I think they're average promos. He talks like he's his promos sound like he's doing like an intellectual promo for the most part, which I'll take that off some of the other promos that a lot of other guys fucking do, or people in general. So his mic skills aren't bad. I think they're average. He's a good worker in the ring too. It's just, I don't know. I think his character as a whole is like the whole Legion thing. Like, what are we defining that of? I mean, because I've seen him work he's wrestled Brian Cage multiple times. I've seen some of those matches and some other ones. He could definitely go in the ring, but it's the whole WWE. Let's not do what you can do.
Yeah. Well, they've ruined Samoa Joe. Like, Samoa Joe was so much better in TNA. Like,
yeah,
he came in wanting to be the same kind of character, and it was that way. I felt like in NXT it was that way, but as soon as they moved him up to the main roster, it's like, okay, you've got to be menacing, and you can only, beat the shit out of guys, and like with punches and kicks, like you can't, it was weird, and he had like his promos just. They weren't terrible, but they weren't really good.
He's had some really good promos when he was feuding with AJ. He had some really good promos when he was like saying, "I'm gonna take your wife and say night night to your kids." Like, he had some really good like stuff going on, but he's gotten multiple concussions since he's got called up to the main roster. So
it's and Kevin Owens. I feel like they trust Kevin Owens, and that's why he is able to succeed. Yeah. With his character. I mean, I'm not going to take anything away from him. I'm saying he's bad or anything like that, but I think he's got that trust level with Vince and the people that he needs to, that they let him go out and be himself. The sarcastic dickhead, so to say. Right. And
he's a face now, so he's not as much of a sarcastic. He's actually been able to do the face thing well, and I was worried that he was a guy that could only pull off the heel, and he's actually done pretty well as a face.
And to limit his moves is not necessarily a bad thing, as long as they haven't cut it down to too much, too much of they've just little.
Taken away probably 2 or 3 of his moves that were cool and that were like different than other people's. They've kind of taken that away from him, and that's like, so here's a perfect example of something that WWE's done recently that just. And Joe, I know you guys don't necessarily know who this person is, but I'm still going to describe the situation. So there's a guy in NXT. His name's Bronson Reed, and his whole gimmick was thick boy. He's a heavier guy, but it wasn't a demeaning term. It was thick. It was like THICCBOI. So his whole gimmick was thick boy. It was great. It was working. He had unique personality. Everything about him was unique. Somebody must have not liked the thick boy thing. They took it away from him. They've made him the colossal Bronson Reed, like Godzilla, and it's completely ruined him because he's not unique or different or special now. He's just blah. And it's just they completely took this guy that had all kinds of potential and had a gimmick that was perfect and it was unique and it was special and it made him stand out. They took it away from him, and now he's just another person, a bigger guy that comes out, and he's a decent wrestler. He's average on the mic, not great, could go either direction, but they just took everything about him that was cool and appealing. They took it away from him and kind of ruined him a little bit.
No, they did.
And it's unfortunate because there are people out there that intentionally try and hurt people's feelings for sake of hurting people's feelings. They're just nasty, mean people for the sake of being nasty, mean people. But here you have a fictional person. It's not really, his name's not really Thick Boy. It's a character that he's playing in wrestling. It's not there to hurt anybody's feelings. It's not there to be cruel. It's just a gimmick. It's just the name. But yet, in the day and age that we live in, and I believe that we should respect everybody. I'm not going to say that I don't. I think we should respect everybody. But there also has to be a point in time where we have to, as a person, not allow a name of a wrestler Okay, in this particular state, a name of a wrestler, let that hurt our feelings, because it's not like they're going out on stage and going, you're a thick. You're not calling anybody thick boy. He's calling himself thick boy. Like, that's, if you're letting that hurt you, then that is something. There's something that you need to address on your own level, because nobody is physically saying that to you. Nobody is coming after you, and to take that away from somebody that could be successful in an industry is really, really ridiculous, in my opinion.
When me and Nicole and Eli went to Full Sail in November of last year, Bronson Reed fought this guy Isaiah Swerve Scott. The match was good, and the crowd was hype. And the crowd was singing, saying, Swerve's house, thick boy. And at that point, I knew there was something with both of them. Like, I saw something, and this was in November. So I knew there was potential for both of them. As soon as the thick boy, I'm like, this is going to work. This is going to stick with this guy. People are chanting it. They're buying into it. I was like, I saw it. And then and it was working, and it was helping propel him to where he was relevant. And then they put him in the ladder match. He was good in the ladder match. And then next time he's on TV, he's the colossal Bronson Reed. And I'm just like, well, there went his uniqueness and his specialness. There it went.
But some people try and tell you, well, he should be able to be special without, a demeaning name. Well, I don't, like, I get it. Like, there are people out there that are very sensitive. I get it. But you can't be so sensitive that somebody's name on a wrestling show that has nothing to do with you directly offends you. It makes you feel bad.
Especially if they're a big guy with that name. If they're a big guy with that name, then, like, if they want to call themselves that and they're okay with that being a bigger guy, then what?
And he owned it. He owned it. He bought into it, everything. He was, like, into the character and everything. And I liked him. And they've just kind of made it where I just don't care right now, because I'm like, okay, he's another guy. So, like, you ruined this guy that was cool and unique. You ruined him. So by taking that gimmick away from him. So, yeah, and I feel bad for him. So.
Well, the Celtics won.
They did. Woo! I see. They did. They finished the job. So that becomes a series if they win. I ultimately thought Boston was going to win that in 7. Anyways, that's what I said at the beginning. Boston in 7. So.
Yeah, won by 11. So they held on.
I mean, it's a shortened season, but the NBA still. The Lakers are going to win in the West. So either way, the NBA has a compelling storyline, either Lakers versus Heat or Lakers versus Celtics. They can sell both of those.
Yeah, so I saw that the NHL finals are starting, and it's the Lightning versus, I can't think.
Dallas.
I was watching it. I was watching it earlier. Yeah.
So that's pretty awesome. Which I didn't pay attention after the Flyers went out of the playoffs. But it was kind of interesting to see that the Islanders didn't really do much after they beat the Flyers. They kind of fell off.
No, Tampa took care of that.
Yeah. Well, Tampa's really good. I don't think if the Flyers played Tampa, they were going to win that series either. So I don't think it mattered who played Tampa, because they're just that good. They've been really good for, I feel like, a long time now.
They lost tonight 4-1 because Dallas is a good team. They got a good goaltender. Tampa was throwing everything at that goaltender, and he was pretty much just stopping everything in front of him. He was flying all over the place, post to post. So I was like, oof, this is going to be a series. It's going to be fun to watch.
Yeah. He's like the nope guy. Nope, not here. Nope.
Oh, yeah. There was some insane stuff in the first period that I saw, and some in the second. I was like, holy crap. Like, it was a good game.
So here's the one thing about hockey, because I was watching I didn't watch every game. I only caught bits and pieces of the series, but I saw most of this Game 7 with the Flyers. The one thing I think that needs to change in hockey, and I know we don't talk a lot of hockey, but I wanted to bring this up, is they allow for essentially, what do you want to call it? It's posting. They essentially post up in front of the goalie. And
yes.
To cause a visual distraction that they can't see what's coming. And it's a good strategy, and every team can do it. And I don't have a problem with it. What I have a problem with is that guys camp there. Like, they just stand there for, ever, it seems like.
You want 3-second rule in hockey?
Yeah, I feel like there needs to be like a set, like, okay, you have this area that you can be in, but you only get like it's a 5-second rule. Let's say 5-second rules. After 5 seconds, you got to move, and then you can come back in. Like, whole body out, and then you can come back in. Or you have to move to a different area. You just can't stand in one spot, because that's what I see. And that's what I saw. Like, the guys will just camp in one spot, like the puck's over here, and they just stand there forever. They're just like, and like the goalies. If I'd have been the goalie, I would have been like hooking his ass and like throwing him off to the fucking side. Like, get the fuck out of my way, dick.
I mean, at the same point, that's the defenseman's job to get that guy the fuck out of the way. You're in front of your goalie, but that becomes a stalemate a lot of the times too, between the offensive player and the defenseman. So I mean, it sucks because there's goals that go in and like, fuck, if the goalie saw, he probably would stop it, or there's those crazy tip-ins where the goalie has no chance, but it's ultimately those are the goals that when they go in for your team, it's great, but when they don't go against your team, it's like, son of a bitch, like, this sucks. It's like a cheat. It gets to be a point where it kind of seems like it's a little cheesy. It's like, oh, you got a cheese goal because it was fucking tipping off a skate. Fuck that shit. Yeah. So I get where you're coming from with that. They probably will never do that. Yeah, they like the whole battles out in front of the goalies and stuff of that nature.
And like, I get it. It's even that both teams can do it, and almost every team does. Like, I can't think of a team that doesn't. But it's just like there should be some maybe rule change that enforces something, because they've changed some of the rules to make the game a little bit faster and stuff like that. I know, but just something.
Add smaller on the goalies and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Joe, did you see the quip from Rhonda today?
Yes, I did.
Oh, so
it didn't amuse me. Like, she's still playing her wrestling gimmick outside in real life. So I was like, okay. Like, my problem with that is like, I get it. She's playing the heel part in regards to that, but at the same time, are you going to come back to wrestling anytime soon and do anything about that, or are you just going to keep talking from home and not do anything?
I mean, there's like rumors that she's training again. So
well, that's great. Let's hope she shows up. Maybe she's training with her other cohorts, her 4 horsewomen per se.
Trying to teach the one how to actually wrestle, because she still doesn't really know how.
Yeah, she's still a little limited.
So I guess the question, and I didn't think of this until now, because we were talking about the Mandalorian and Sasha Banks being in there, with the whole new thing with the cease and desist in the next 30 days with WWE with third party shit. Now we know the whole thing with Sasha Banks. She's done filming all that stuff now, but if she ends around to the end of the season, will she be allowed to go back or not? Because that's a third party. They don't have anything to do with WWE.
That's not
what they're referring to.
That's not what they're referring to.
Okay, what are they referring to?
Social media.
Just
social media and advertising for brands that WWE doesn't advertise for on your own accord. Pretty much. So the instance, Lana, the actual energy drink that she advertised, I think I don't know if she has a partnership specifically with them, but she, her and her husband drink that energy drink. It's like a workout energy drink per se. And, she promotes it on her YouTube or her podcast or whatever the case may be. So, but that energy drink has no affiliation with WWE. So Vince is not making any money off of it. So that's the wrestler themselves, building their brand outside of WWE. So he's kind of like, doesn't want them to use their wrestling name to promote anything that's not WWE related, pretty much.
But then he comes out and says, I own your real name too. Like,
For some wrestlers, he does. It all depends. I mean, so it's like Paige. Like Paige was like, "Fuck that shit. I'm not stopping doing my thing." So she just changed her name. She had like at Real Paige WWE. So she kind of put her real name on her Twitter handle and on her Twitch and all that stuff. She just changed her name, and Vince really can't do shit about that. So some of the wrestlers are just are going to go that route. People know what the wrestlers' real names are anyway. It's not hard to find out who their goddamn real names are. So it is what it is. Xavier Woods is good because he doesn't actually use his wrestling name for his social media stuff. He uses his real name and other stuff for all his stuff. So Vince can't do shit to him either. And the thing is, like, there was a thing where Stephanie does not agree with her dad. She did an interview. She tells the wrestlers to promote their brand. I mean, it makes sense. So what if you get a sponsorship outside of WWE that they're not making money off of? Because at the end of the day, you get a whole shitload of followers following you and watching what you're doing. Mm-hmm. They're going to then tune into the product because they're following you and they want to see what you're going to do on the show. So they're going to make money off of having higher ratings and having them, well, once we can, show back up to a show, or what they can do is buy their merchandise. So WWE is going to make money off that anyway, just not the way Vince wants to make money off of it.
So I'm a little disturbed.
It's silly, to be honest.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. But I'm a little disturbed by what I just saw on AJ's screen. Do you have pants on, sir? Because I just saw you throw some pants over your chair.
Those are my work pants, Jeremy.
Okay, so you have other pants on. I was a little concerned. I'm like,
maybe he thought you were getting comfortable and taking the pants off and just throwing them behind, because we only see you from the chest up.
Yeah.
Probably thought you were getting super comfy.
Hang out with
I'm like that right now. I'm like that guy that thinks that commercial they show where that guy thinks it's a Zoom thing and he walks out with to water the flowers or whatever. Oh, I thought we were doing a Zoom thing.
And his tidy whities. His wife's like, no.
Oh my God, it was so funny.
Like the Miz last night in his tidy whities on TV. Good job, Miz.
So
nobody really wanted to.
So I have to. So because my wife, and she works in a different call center as a supervisor, they were doing like meetings, and they were doing them, live video meetings, and evidently one of the phone reps forgot to turn off his camera. And
it always happens everywhere.
And had walked away during a lunch break, 15-minute break, whatever it was. And when he came back, he was completely naked, and everybody saw.
Yeah,
like everything.
So I think when that happens, you have no choice. You just have to kill yourself.
Luckily, I did not see it, but we have these equipment setup meetings because in the role that I'm in, we have to help everybody get their equipment set up before they start on a Monday. And the very first one that I was in, luckily I was, filling out a spreadsheet. Evidently that happened. The person that was setting up their equipment, their boyfriend walked behind the camera nude. Like, oh my God. Like, I get it. You're walking around in your house nude, but what? Like, somebody, they have a camera.
When you have for this Skype, Zoom, whatever you're using, when you load it up, first thing you do is make sure, if you don't want anyone to see you, click on the camera icon and make sure it puts a line through to whatever it does for that application, so your camera's not fucking on, and then whatever generic icon that comes up is showing, and then you can do whatever the fuck you want. Like, go into the meeting, or before you do that, it's just, I don't know. I think it's common sense, but people are just
it's
all over the place.
It's just so awesome. I've seen some really. I mean, I missed that, thank God, because I didn't need to see a dude dom walking past my screen. So, but I have seen some interesting things, like women with these ridiculous, like crazy nails. I've seen people and mostly women, because that seems to be a lot of what our industry brings in is a lot of women. Some men, not a lot, but they women in like tank tops with like just hanging out because the tank top's a little too small. You know, it's like we see a lot of stuff. I'm like, yeah, I'm glad you guys are at home because I'm afraid what you would wear to work. I'm afraid you would not be dressed professionally because I've seen that too at our work. I've seen the the spaghetti strap tops, which are not work appropriate. I've seen the leggings that are so tight that you can see the skin underneath and they're wearing a thong for underwear. Like, I appreciate you feel confident, but that's not appropriate. Not by any means.
So something must have happened at my work this week because they only usually send this email out to everyone if something happened. So
was it
majority
the dress code email?
Oh yeah. It was like is it Thursday? Yeah, I think it was Thursday. So I get into work and go through my emails and I'm like, dress code. So I kind of messaged one of the soups. I was like, hey, anything happened up there since you guys have been back at the office? I was like, he goes, why? It's because they sent out the dress code. He goes, yeah. He goes, it wasn't anybody in our team. It was somebody over in one of the other departments. And he told me which department it was. And I'm like, oh, yeah, that makes sense. Okay. That's fine. As long as it's nobody from our department. But yeah, they only send that out when they see somebody walking around the office wearing clothing that they're not supposed to. And they've been harping on it more now since, my company is public and all that stuff. So I'm like, yeah. We'll see a lot more of those emails.
Yeah, it's funny. I must admit it's really funny. It's like it makes you wonder. Like, I mean, and it's not me being old by any means. It's just like having common sense. Like when it comes to, appropriate dress attire for when you're going to work. Like and it's funny because like
or even when you're going out in public.
Yeah.
Yeah, true. But the OMs, they have a conversation. They come into the class. They would come into the classroom, when we were in the office, and say, if it's something you wear to the club, you don't want to wear that here.
They need to put something in the manual that says, if you wear this to the club or if you wear this to Walmart, please don't wear it to
work. I went to Walmart last night in my nightie. Like,
I mean, you never know what you're going to see at Walmart. People dressed. You never know what you might run into there.
And you know what? I don't do it anymore, but when it first came out, the People of Walmart webpage that was out, that's there. The People of Walmart with the pictures of all the different people like dressed in inappropriate or very odd attire.
Jeremy, I don't want to hear about you and Walmart people in your spank bank. Don't want to hear about that tonight.
Nope, none of them ever made it. Thank God. I think I would have had some problems if they made that. But yeah, oh my God.
So I think it's stumper time. I have a stumper question.
Yes, stumper time.
Talking about everything and nothing at the same time. It's basketball related.
Okay.
And I know Pat's on his computer because I can see the glare in his glasses.
So what you're saying is I have a chance.
I'm right here. I'm no cheating here.
AG,
I don't need hands to do that.
If he remembers.
Huh?
So you might get this. So the Spurs had a long run of being in the playoffs for many years.
Mm-hmm.
And this year, gently, was the year they did make the playoffs. So who is the leading scorer for the San Antonio Spurs the last time they did not make the playoffs?
Goodness gracious. Now we're going back. We're going way back.
Yes, that's the crazy part. Way, way back.
Because, I mean, they were making the playoffs with David Robinson. That's what we're talking about.
Well, I mean, Jerry Sloan, I think they made the playoffs with Jerry Sloan. I think just about I don't know if he ever didn't make the playoffs. So.
Well, it's Utah, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. The Spurs, I'm sorry.
Yeah. So you have to go back probably like David Robinson's rookie year, I would think, if anything.
No, I'm pretty sure I know which year it was. I just don't remember. It was the year that Robinson got hurt. It was because they lucked out in the lottery, then were able to draft Tim Duncan. But it was that year like Robinson was hurt and missed most of the season, and they were pretty terrible. I just can't think of anybody who they had on the team at that time.
I'm gonna say Sam Elliott.
Sean Elliott. Jeremy.
Sean Elliott, sorry. Sean Elliott.
Are you taking the name of Sam Elliott in vain?
I mean,
that's the closest I can come to as a name that I can remember from that era.
That sounds like a good guess. Yeah, I have no idea.
I'm gonna say Vinny Del Negro.
That's another one. Yeah, I remember that name from that time frame. Yeah.
Jeremy's guess was I was thinking Sean Elliott. I'm gonna say Vinny Del Negro.
Because I have that year of hoops cards that those guys were on.
Sir Patrick.
I don't have a guess.
I'll give you one hint.
Uh-huh.
But I'm locking your first answers in as official answers.
Okay. So evidently we're wrong.
Correct. You're all wrong. This person, I'll give you a second chance. I'll throw you a lifeline. This person had a battle with Mr. MJ. Pat, what are you laughing about?
Just the way that you said that. now, so just to nitpick, I guess maybe. When you say their leading scorer, are you talking gross points or are you talking points per game?
It's what he averaged for the season.
Okay.
Points. His average points per game.
Yeah.
Not gross. Fuck that shit. You can score 1,200 points and only average like 12 points a game.
I mean.
Oh, how interesting.
Did you just Google it?
No, yeah, I definitely looked it up, but I got it. all I'm gonna say.
He had no guess.
I didn't have a guess. All I'm going to say is, I did not even remember
him being on that team.
That this guy played there. Yeah.
The only person I can think of, and I might be wrong because I might be putting him on the team, and he never actually played for them. But I feel like didn't Sam Perkins play for them at one point in time? Didn't he play for the Spurs at some point in time?
Maybe.
I feel like he did, but I wouldn't ever think that he had a battle with Michael Jordan at any point in time because he wasn't like a confrontational player.
No, Sam Perkins never played for the Spurs. He played the first several years of his career for Dallas. So,
maybe that's I'm thinking of the wrong person. I was definitely thinking of the wrong person.
I have no idea. Sam Perkins' career with Dallas, the Lakers, Seattle, and Indiana.
I don't know. I can't think of enough guys from back in that age. You're gonna say it, and I'm gonna be like, okay, that I do remember that name, but I'm not.
You remember the name, but I don't think you remember that you're not gonna remember that he even stepped foot in a Spurs uniform.
Really? Oh wow. It was very short-lived too.
Did you look, Pat? Was it like 2 or 3 seasons?
He played just the 1 year for the Spurs.
Oh, it was 1 year? Was that 1 year? Okay.
Yeah.
Couldn't remember if I thought it was 2.
And I could say something else about his tenure around the time he played for the Spurs, but that might give it away, so I won't.
Yeah, no double hints. It's not going to help me anyways. It's too long ago. It such an odd player.
It might tip it off too much for AJ. So.
All right, AJ, what you got, man? He's pulling it out of his bank.
And not a spank bank.
It could be. He might have a different kind of spank bank than we have.
Oh, Jesus.
Not flipping me the bird, so it could be true.
Yeah, I've been thinking since you said.
And I don't want to Google it yet.
I'm gonna say Brian Russell because I don't know who this is because I'm trying to remember who played on that Spurs team. So and I'm just drawing a blank.
The man who battled Michael Jordan in the slam dunk contest.
Dominique
Wilkins. Yes.
Dominique played for the Spurs?
Yep.
I mean, I vaguely remember that.
Yeah, it was weird because he had been with the Hawks like his whole career until the 93-94 season when he got traded to the Clippers.
Yep.
But he only played for the Clippers to finish out that season. Then he was with the Celtics in 94-95. Went and played in Greece in 95-96. Came back to the NBA in 96-97, which was the year that the Spurs last missed the playoffs because that was the year Robinson only played 6 games. So, they were terrible. And Nick was with the Spurs. He played 63 games, starting 26. He played 31 minutes a game and averaged 18.2 points. Then he went and played in Italy in the 97-98 season and came back in the 98-99 season to play for Orlando, but he only played in 27 games, only playing 9 minutes a game, and that was the end of his career then.
That was a good one. That was a good one, Joe.
Yeah, I did not even remember that he ever played for the Spurs.
No, that was crazy.
It's just one of those guys that had a long career and played with like one team for the majority of his career, 3/4 of his career, and then
was a great scorer. Yeah, he was a great scorer for
playing for some other random teams that you kind of just don't remember him even playing on.
No, because I don't even remember him coming back after he was let go by the Hawks. Like, I don't even remember him playing because that's how I don't want to say insignificant, but it's not memorable.
I remember when he played for Boston. I do remember when he played for Boston. So.
Of course he would. So
good stuff.
I always remember him because he had one of the best nicknames, I always thought.
Yeah.
The human highlight film. And that was because of the dunks that he would
dunks and all that jazz. Yeah.
Yeah. Because he would do that shit in games. It wasn't just he wasn't just like in slam dunk contests and every other thing. So he's been a guy who I think has become a little underappreciated because he never won anything. So
he's on that list. He's on that list of all-time great players who never won anything.
And Atlanta really never. I don't want to say never. They could have done better with those teams. Those Atlanta Hawks teams he's played on, but they were never able to put anything substantial together.
No, I mean he was in the unfortunate circumstance of playing when Bird and Michael were playing. So and the Pistons. He was in the East. Atlanta. Atlanta wasn't.
The Bulls.
Atlanta wasn't going to beat any of those teams. They weren't good enough. So that's the problem. Is they ran into even the Cavs were got good for a period. So Atlanta was just there's too many juggernauts there for Atlanta. Wasn't going to beat those teams. Dominique got Bird closer to the end of his career, and then the Pistons, and then Jordan.
Yeah, I mean, they could have done a little bit better than what they did. Make it a little bit more competitive than what they were.
Like in Dominique's tenure with the Hawks, they never got to the Eastern Conference Finals.
Right. Nope. He had that one game against Bird where him and Bird went back and forth in the playoffs the one year where they kind of both went back and forth.
Yeah. It was because the Sixers were pretty decent at that point in time, too. They had Barkley, and they were pretty decent with Barkley the whole time he was there. I can't remember them being really actually having a terrible season. So even that, you had really good teams in the East. And then it got, as time went on, it kind of all shifted to the West. All the good teams ended up in the West, and now the East is shit, where the West had some decent teams, but wasn't as strong as the East. The West was not quite as strong. You had some teams, but not a lot, because you had the Rockets, the Blazers, and Utah,
and the Pistons.
Antonio.
The Pistons won 2 championships. Then the Bulls won 3, so there's 5. And then Jordan took time off, and Houston won twice. And then Jordan came back and won 3 more. So there's a 10-year period there where the East won 8 championships out of the 10. So
right, and now it swung the other way where the West is winning a multitude of the championships and the East isn't really winning anything. So
no, and because that's why LeBron's had it easy a lot, you could say, in the postseason, because he's had to come out of this the first year he's going through the West, and it's a shortened season. So
yeah, so we'll see what happens. I guess, are we at the end of our show? Do we want to say it's the end, or I feel like it's trying to come to the end?
Yeah.
I still had more strippers. I had strippers. So.
You'll have to save that for the next All About Nothing and About Everything show, because we will certainly do another Nothing show.
Do you remember what we're doing next week, Jeremy?
Yes, we are going to be talking about Bash at the Beach 96 and WrestleMania.
No,
not WrestleMania. Sorry, not WrestleMania. Let me correct that. Okay, not WrestleMania. King of the Ring.
Yes.
96.
So we're going to be talking Bash at the Beach 96 as well as King of the Ring 96. Sorry, I want to say WrestleMania because it's the big one, but that's what she said.
She clearly wasn't talking to you.
Oh.
Look at Pat.
She was talking to Pat.
He just zones out. Pat, we know you're thinking about it. We know you're thinking about that WAP right now, Pat. Don't lie.
So, yes, that does really bring us to the end of our show. We've had a lot of fun talking about, well, everything and absolutely nothing, too, all at the same time, sharing some really gross stories, too, at times, being a little naughty on this episode, kind of letting loose. Yeah. Hopefully, everybody enjoyed it. So we just want to thank everybody for tuning in, no matter where you're catching this, whether you got it on YouTube, you got it on iTunes, Stitcher, Spotify, or even now you can catch it on Amazon Radio, because we are on Amazon Radio now.
Shit,
yes,
that is
we
right.
are. I got the confirmation email just yesterday. So, yes, we are on Amazon Radio, so you can just speak into your Alexa and find us by just asking for the Four Guys Podcast. So you'll be able to find us there. So we want to thank everybody for tuning in and watching. We hope you had a lot of fun. And, yes, we will be back next week where we talk about wrestling. We're talking about Bash at the Beach 96, and we're talking about King of the Ring 96. So until then, we'll see you on the next episode.